Hello, 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 and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Beverly Lucas, and I am the host of For the Love of Cooking Fridays. What do I do on Fridays? I try my best to show you how to make a meal, a dish, a dessert, a snack, a treat. Whatever we are cooking, it is always better than the restaurant. So welcome to my kitchen. Today I am preparing something a little bit different. It's even different for me. It's lobster risotto. I am a lover of all types of seafood. So whether it's shrimp, whether it's crab, whether it's lobster, I'm all for it. I am going to show you how to make this meal, and if you would look at it, it would seem as though it's complex. It is a lot of flavors that are blended together. But let me tell you, once you do your prep in a good 30-35 minutes, you will have this down packed. Risotto is a type of rice, and it does take a minute to cook, and you cook it a little bit differently than just putting all the rice in the pot. You cook it in some stock. We're gonna make some lobster stock. I'm gonna show you how to do that. And it cooks very slowly, and the starch releases, and the rice becomes more creamy than grainy, in which we are used to. So let me introduce my ingredients to you. First, of course, we have to have the lobster. So I have here 2 lobster tails. So I'm only making a serving for 2. So we have 2 lobster tails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a lobster stock, and I'm going to use the shells from the lobster tails. So when you think of stock, you think of chicken stock, vegetable stock, beef stock. It's from the stock of whatever the liquid is coming from. And to that, we're gonna add some celery, some carrots, some onions, just a small onion chopped, and then I have about 8 ounces of some diced tomatoes that we are going to use. Also in my stock, I like to use whole peppercorns, and we have some bay leaves, and I have what's called a lobster base. This is from Better Than Bullion. So what I have behind me, I have my water that is boiling. It is about 4 cups of water. So it's going to be 4 cups of liquid to 1 cup of rice. And this is called Arborio rice. So we're going to use 1 cup of that. So for our risotto, the ingredients are, we have an onion. You can also use shallot. We have some butter. We have about a tablespoon of some cream cheese. I have the zest of a half of a lemon. I have about a 1/4 cup of some white wine, and we also have some Parmesan cheese because we like the risotto with the cheese, with the lobster. Oh, it's going to be absolutely delicious. And for both the stock and the risotto, we have some garlic. So the garlic is already chopped. It's already ready to go. And of course, for the risotto, we're going to start the base with some olive oil. So it'll be the olive oil and the onions and the garlic. So let's get started. So let me ask you, are you with me? Are you really with me? Come on and journey with me. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna build our flavors for our stock. So I already have the water going, and we have some onion here. We have some celery. This is 1 stalk of celery. I don't know if I said that earlier. This is just 1 carrot, just chopped up. We have our tomatoes, and what I have left of some dried bay leaves, and our peppercorn. This is the same, almost the same that I use for when I make shrimp stock. I use ingredients that I have, but I love using the shrimp shells. And what I have here is, our lemon that we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna squeeze it in here. I stick that whole lemon in there, and I'm gonna take lobster base, and this is a teaspoon. So we're gonna put a teaspoon of that in there. Also to my stock, I'm adding some herbs from my garden, some oregano and some lemon thyme, a teaspoon of some garlic, and I'm gonna let that simmer for a few minutes. It has been simmering, so I'm gonna take our lobster tail and I'm gonna put it right in, both of our lobster tails, and two. We're just gonna let those simmer. So the lobster has turned red, and now I am taking the meat out of the shell. Once it's released, once it's cooked, it's really easy to release. So I took the lobster out of the shell, and then I put the shell back into our mixture. I put it back into our stock, and I'm just gonna let that simmer probably for about another 20 minutes or so. All right, our stock is almost ready. I have our lobster here. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little Old Bay. If you're from Maryland, then you know. Seafood is not seafood without Old Bay. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit in there. I meant to put some in there earlier. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strain this just for the liquid, and we're gonna discard everything else that is in this stock. And that's what we're gonna use for our risotto. You can see here, I have drained all the liquid out. And we're just gonna let that set to make sure that we get every little drop. Let's begin to cook the risotto. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to take our olive oil, put that back on medium heat, about a tablespoon olive oil. We're gonna let that heat up. Okay, so the lobster stock I have it on low, because when we add the stock to the risotto, we don't want it to be lukewarm, we don't want it to be cold, we want to be able to maintain the heat so that the rice cooks evenly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add this one small onion. To our pan, and we're going to add our garlic. And I meant to add also some butter. So it's a butter olive oil mixture, and I can smell the garlic. We do not want to burn the garlic. If you watch any of my videos, you hear me say this all the time. You do not want your garlic to burn. It will ruin the entire dish. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of wine, and we're gonna let that cook out. The smell is delicious. And then the smell of the stock is just great. So we're gonna let that cook out. Then we're gonna take our 1 cup of Arborio rice. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna ladle some of the lobster stock into the risotto. And I have my ladle here. And I'm gonna do this, and I'm just going to cook it and let it absorb. Oof, the whiff of that. And the one thing about risotto that I like is that it's layers of flavor. So you see how we layered making the lobster stock, and now we're layering it as we are cooking the risotto. It smells delicious. So what we do is we just stir it until the moisture is incorporated within the rice. And then once it's all incorporated and I can see the starch taking effect, And you can see the creaminess of it already. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some more stock. And we're just going to cook it a little at a time. And it should take between 17 and 20 minutes. I'm about halfway done. You can see how it is coming along. Okay, I have moved this off of the heat. It has been exactly 24 minutes that I have stood here and intermittently added the liquid and stirred the rice. And you can see it's not soupy, it is thick, it is creamy, and it still has just a tad bite to it, which is why I took it off the heat. So what I'm gonna add now is, we have about 2 tablespoons of butter, a tablespoon of some cream cheese. We have about a 1/4 cup of some Parmesan cheese. And I have the zest of about 1/2 of a lemon. And I have been tasting this, and it is absolutely delicious. When I say delicious, I could just sit here and just eat a bowl. Now adding these flavors in is only going to give it that extra kick. This is our finished product. It smells absolutely delicious. Let's get it plated. When I tell you this is absolutely delicious, it is absolutely delicious. The lobster cooked perfectly, the risotto. Thank you for spending this time with me. You have been watching For the Love of Cooking Fridays. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, why don't you go ahead and just press that button. Just go ahead and subscribe, and you will be notified each time I produce a new video. This is Beverly Lucas, and I am signing off. Bye-bye.